they've made a mistake and they want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fair. So I'm going to present you with an ethical dilemma.
Okay, I'm ready.
The trans healthcare trolley problem.
Okay.
An unknown number of trans people have been tied to one of the train tracks while a runaway trolley is set to roll down an empty track, saving the trans people.
Correct.
However, that guy over there might voluntarily walk onto the train track. Do you pull the lever, sacrificing the trans people to protect that one guy from possibly making a mistake?
Oh, Jesus.
So, do you doom countless millions to medical gatekeeping and second-class citizenship because one person made a mistake?
Definitely not.
So,
Definitely not.
that's the trans healthcare trolley problem.
Oh, geez.
I feel like there are things that could be prevented with a lot more people learning about how to properly handle alcohol and drugs at a younger age, and like making sure that that people know it's not just at parties. It's you have to be cautious at dates. You have to be cautious with your friends. Sometimes it happens in relationships. If you're dating somebody new, like you are allowed to say no, and it you can still be raped by your partner. Like, you know, there's a whole party etiquette, but there's also stuff outside of that too.
Genetics. All right, so my grandma on my dad's side has heavy depression, and so I have a feeling that it's partially from that. It's also, you know, very trauma based. So obviously everything I've been through with my parents, being insane, you know, all the relationship trauma I've been through, like it's all of that, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember, with me particularly, when I got diagnosed with depression, they were like, you don't need medicine.
Move him out there, and it ended up not happening, and it was my fault because I knew for probably 3 weeks that wasn't going to happen, and I was terrified to let her down.
Yeah.
Because I got her hopes up, and the longer it went, the worse it got, and then she heard it from my friend, not me, and he had no idea I hadn't told her. He's not at fault here, but I knew, and I felt terrible about that because I was like, I gotta learn from something like that.
Yeah. But when I hear you say that you were fearful of telling her, that's a sign of being in an abusive relationship. If you're fearful of letting down the other person, or if you feel like your happiness, the person's sole happiness is reliant upon you, that's extremely abusive. That's extremely toxic.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, I mean, I definitely still do, like, definitely part of it was on me because that's like I told you, I was letting her down, breaking her heart. Like I didn't want to do that, and it just got worse the longer it took. But then also it was the, like you said, like the codependency aspect of it, like how she's, a lot of the times I felt like, I wouldn't want to say I was responsible for her happiness, but she was like only happy when she was around me.
Yeah.
And I went with it, but it wasn't something that I wanted to be permanent.
No one cause for ADHD. No one knows what the cause is, but it's becoming more and more prevalent in our society today. Why do you think that is?
For the same reason that there are more trans people now than there were. For the same reason why there's more gay people now than there were. For the same reason that there's more people with depression now. Because for one, you wouldn't even really know what to say, you know, early on. We have more knowledge about ADHD than almost any other mental condition. And yet, there are still people that don't even know what more than 2 of the symptoms are. And it's incredibly researched. It's so highly researched at this point. There is so much data and information out there. Think about when there wasn't. You wouldn't even know what to say to somebody. Oh, okay, well, what's wrong with you? Well, I get distracted and I feel moody and, I want to do things, but I just don't. Mm-hmm. You're not getting away with that in 1964. You know what I mean? No. And that's you are asking from a very quizzical and curious standpoint, which is fine. But there's so many people that are asking. It just appears all of a sudden now there's more trans people. Now there's more people with ADHD. Now there's more anxiety or DID. Mm-hmm. Where do they all come from? Well, probably because they found out. Mm-hmm. Because they just accepted their horrible normal of thinking that they are wrong, but somehow that's just normal. That is why, in my opinion, when you have, I don't know how many generations still have living representatives within them, but we'll say 4 to 5. When you have cumulative 4 to 5 generations that A, feel they're being more represented, B, are learning more about themselves, C, feel like there are safe spaces to be who they are, mm-hmm. Of course there's an influx in the populations of those demographics. Yeah. Because they don't feel scared to be them. So I like that you asked that, because I know you asked from a good place, and it's like an easy way to answer all the people that are asking from not a good place.
Yeah.
For an hour or 2 and then go back to playing my game. It was never, it's like, parents are not, they don't realize that if you create an open atmosphere, an open conversation where your kid is also allowed to correct you, mm-hmm. and have a sense of autonomy and have a sense of, hey, my voice matters in this family, mm-hmm. you're not going to have trouble. I cannot imagine any child wanting to lash out at a parent who lets them do what they want to do without judgment and fear,
and provides them a safe outlet for pursuing their hobbies, pursuing their interests, pursuing what makes them an individual.
Many disabled individuals depend on their service animals every day to help them live their normal everyday lives. So Gigi is a PTSD support dog and medical alert service dog. She has been pretty crucial in helping me function semi-normally.
Our mental well-being in such a way that many people become suicidal. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Right. Well, it's like your whole system for tolerating distress is just busted. My system was so dysregulated, and sometimes it still is. I like to joke and say I grew up not knowing what a crisis is, because the same level of reactivity was given whether we were out of milk or somebody died. It was I don't know what's a crisis. I don't know. And so as an adult, it's been a lot of unlearning that, wow, I can actually manage these things. Not everything is a 5-alarm fire. Some things I can tolerate. And I credit DBT a lot for that, in helping me tolerate distress and regulate emotions and be in the present moment.
I don't think so. My father has really been in and out of my life since I was born. Mm-hmm. So I never had an experience of having a good foundation of parental in my life. So at the moment, I don't think it's really affecting me. I didn't have really either of my parents most of my life. So I have a mom, but she is my best friend's mom.
Oh.
So I made her my parental figure in my life.
So some chosen family. I'm so glad that you have a mother figure. I'm so glad. You smiled about that. It sounded like that was healing for you to have that parental figure.
Yeah, my best friend's been in my life for over 10 years. So her mom has been my everything. If something happened at my house, I would just walk 10 minutes from my house to their house and just be there.
That's such a blessing. I'm so glad that you have that woman in your life. So of situations that bring back memories of the trauma, heightened reactions, anxiety, and depressed mood. Do you resonate with any of these symptoms?
Oh, like all of them. Like, oh, I was about to be like, not to trauma dump, but like this is, I'm going to because I'm supposed to. I literally had a nightmare last night. I get unwanted memories of like almost everything all the fucking time, and avoiding situations I used to, but I'm trying to be like, okay, but if you don't avoid them, you could like get more normal. So even just yesterday, because I fell off a cliff in April.
Oh my goodness.
Like, don't worry, it runs in my family.
Right.
That's why I'm becoming a social worker, because I feel social workers are so out of touch. They're so out of touch with reality. But the basic tenets of social work says you're supposed to use your lived experience. You're supposed to come, like with an openness, but they're not coming from that. And so you've got these men and women in social work, children, or not social work, but sex work, and children in sex work. I used to live in Las Vegas. I lived there for 3 years. I lived in Myrtle Beach, which is also a sex work and trafficking hotspot. And, I've lived in both places and sex worked in both places. And also here in North Carolina. And I'm telling you, like, there's children in this business, like children. And they don't want to do it, but they don't know any better. It was like me. I didn't know that I was worth anything more. And I had a college degree, I had a psychology degree, but I didn't feel like I was worth trying to go find a job in it.
Yeah.
No one wants to face it. No one wants to face the skeletons in the closet. But eventually this thing's gonna get so bad you have to clean it out.
Exactly.
But what matters is you don't have to do it alone. And that's what I try to do with my videos, is make sure people know they're not alone. I tell followers, don't call me an idol, don't call me famous, don't call me whatever. See me as a family. See me as a friend. Every time I meet a follower, I always say, hey, are you comfortable with a hug? Do you want a high five? Because some of them are not okay with hugs, and that's completely okay. I always try to give them an item of mine so they know I see you. And tell them, hey, and I've had so many get anxious and cry and scared and shaking. And I ask them, can I hold your hand? And I look at them, I say, don't be afraid. Don't view me as this idol, view me as your friend. I'm here for you. I'm your family. That's what I want them to know. They don't have to go through this alone.
Yeah. Trauma is extremely isolating. And it didn't used to be.
the biggest the biggest misconception that I would say that angers me is definitely people trying to just generally using diagnostic terms in their day-to-day life. I'd say that the other one is also, again, I think that this might just be specific to TikTok or maybe just specific to my For You page, but I see a lot of teenagers almost glorifying, that might not be the right word, but they kind of like build it up to be this like mystical, magical thing with like, you know, having a favorite person and splitting, and it kind of turns it, to me, it's insanely cringy. But it's like, it's not like a superpower, you know? You don't like, it's not like your favorite person is your soulmate, and when they leave you on red, you split, you turn into the Hulk. Like, that's not what it is at all. And I keep seeing these like TikToks and stuff of things like that. And that's why I've been very careful to not speak that much about having the diagnostic of BPD on my TikTok page, because I don't want to attract that kind of information. So I always try to use the word mental illness, or, you know, I try to use more jokes that center more around DBT, because DBT can be so general and can help so many people with emotional dysregulation. I cannot stress how important dialectical behavioral therapy is to society as a whole.
It's this idea, and I see it a lot with people who are kind of deconstructing, is this idea of really never feeling fully allowed to just like rest and accept yourself, because there's always that refining process that we talk a lot about in Christianity, where you're always trying to improve, you're always trying to learn more. The devil is always coming after you in some way. The world is wicked and coming after you in some way. You can never rest, really. I mean, especially in the denomination I grew up with, like even things like prayer and like meditation in the Lord, which you would think would be restful, were very like, we're going to war on this thing in the world, right? Or this movement, or this spirit of rebellion, or we're going to like pray for a revival until we are like, you know, blue in the face. And it's just the idea that you can't ever rest. And a lot of churches will utilize that in sort of an abusive way, in terms of like to keep people working and volunteering and doing more and more without pay or compensation, really. And the idea is that the Lord will enliven you, will strengthen you. And so you're not relying on your own strength. So why would you get tired? Why would you need rest? Why would you need any basic human need met? Because it's supernatural, right? Like and it creates sort of this incredible burnout cycle that I think we're seeing a lot of the results of now, with a lot of younger people leaving organized religion. I think it's just massive burnout in that way.
Because again, highly disadvise it, but when I was younger and was only having a drink every 2 to 3 weeks, like there was no real life, there was no major consequence to that. It provided me with benefits. It allowed me to get done what I needed to get done. It helped lessen some other symptoms I was dealing with at the time. When I was able to do that, that was fine. The issue is the ADHD provides low impulse control. And so there was definitely a period towards the end of my drinking where every night was a blackout night. Yeah. And so, but it is very much so shown and portrayed as it's black and white, and this goes for a lot more than just alcohol. Not many things are actually black and white. There's a massive gray spectrum right in the middle, and you kind of just got to judge on your own, like, hey, you know, it hits me right here near the white side but still in the gray. Are these consequences negative or positive to me in my life? And it's also a very personal thing for people, though. Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm not a woman, so I can't speak too much on it, right? But I think honestly it goes back to the whole social media thing, right? And it also goes back to just the difference of like what society is saying a man needs to look like and a woman needs to look like. So for instance, especially now, right? Like you were saying, men are starting to be told or seen like, oh, I need to be bigger, I need to be more, muscular. That involves you eating more, right? Or at least eating at a decent amount. So you're going to continue eating. Whereas women, unfortunately, a lot of the commercials, the TV, the social media that's going on Instagram, TikTok, all that, it shows a very like, I need to be thin, I need to be small, I need to be this, like unhealthy fit. And that's kind of like my short little piece on that. Like I said, I can't really speak too much on it, but I think the biggest thing is just that whole like, what we're seeing, what society is telling us we need to look at, that's how we're going to react to how we eat.
I suppose for me, because most of my attack, was in my head, I found the Word of God so helpful. And God saying to me, I want the truth. So even now, when still in the morning, I'm liable to wake up in the pit. Well, not quite in the pit, but almost in the pit. I could go down into the pit, but I don't, because I pray very simple prayers. I used to, when I first became Orthodox, I would pray long prayers. I can't do it. And my spiritual father said, pray as you can. So I pray 3 prayers, except one of them is the Jesus prayer, and I repeat that for the people that I'm praying for and working with. So that's, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. But otherwise, it's an introductory. Oh no, it's 4 prayers, because it's an introductory prayer, just inviting the Holy Spirit, honoring and loving the Holy Spirit, and then asking the Trinity to set me free from, all my baggage, and then the Lord's Prayer, and then the Jesus Prayer, just praying specific. So I don't do big long prayers. I can't do it anymore. They actually trigger me. They trigger me because I don't want to feel resentful about the men of the church.
My worst episode probably lasted about a month, and that's when my last time going into a hospital where they take care of you and help you get on medication. And that was such a bad experience for me, and I am really sad to say this, but I actually suffered from a miscarriage while I was in that hospital, and they treated me like I wasn't pregnant and that I was just crazy and that I needed to get over it. Like, you're Gillian, you're not pregnant. And then I came out of hospital and there was a hurricane that hit Florida, and this all happened in like 2019. So I think it was Hurricane Ian. And when this happened, I went into hospital because I literally was at home with my fiance, with my family, and I just hit the floor to my knees, and I was in so much pain. Like, it was just so bad. And that was the last time I was in hospital, so.
My goodness. That sounds like such a traumatic event.
It really was.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you're still here.
Yeah, that means the world to me. Thank you. You're so sweet.
Mom's like secure. She, was my champion growing up. My dad is just, he is your typical, he's like your textbook avoidant. If you read Attached or any book on attachment, anything that describes an avoidantly attached person is my father. So it's like, he's critical. Vulnerability is extremely difficult for him. He cannot take a compliment, or he doesn't like inherently believe anything positive about himself, that I think, which took me a long time to really understand about people with avoidant attachment. Extremely self-reliant and independent. All these traits, which again, I don't think they're all bad. I don't think self-reliance is bad and being independent is bad. It's just all of these traits support putting distance between yourself and the people close to you, because closeness equals pain for people with avoidant attachment. So that's my dad. So, growing up, I developed my own coping mechanisms, mostly lying to him. Because I didn't feel safe, right? I don't know, he's a boomer. He grounded me. I remember being grounded at 5 years old. I think I had to write lines at 5 years old, I remember, for lying. And it was one of those, I will not lie, like Harry Potter. No, I'm kidding. Not as bad as that, but similar. I remember being just grounded and kind of having that level of discipline from a young age. So I lied to, have my freedom as a child, doing things that normal children do. I wasn't a troublemaker or anything necessarily. Not more than other, you know what I mean? Just the normal kid mischief shit. So yeah, that was a big thing. And the lying continued through high school, and I definitely broke a lot of rules my dad had. I think I was kicked off the internet by my parents for a full year at some point. Didn't have access to anything.
Thinking about this, I was from here on out, I'm riding for me. There is no one that's going to ride harder for anybody than I'm going to ride for me. And that means, for my birthday next year, I started planning, I'd like to take this trip for my 40th. I think I'm going to go to England, so we'll see how that goes. I studied abroad in London, but I'm thinking I want to see the countryside. And people are like, well, you would go by yourself? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going by myself. That sounds amazing. I want to be by myself for that day, because I am riding for me. What do you want for you, Erin? And if that's what I want, that's what I'm going to do. And so one of those, I think, patterns then is, we need to show up for everyone else all the time. I was just talking to a client about, that saying blood is thicker than water. It's a way that we use to keep people stuck. Because it's really I don't know that I buy into that.
Isn't it a misquote that the actual saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb? Is that
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The actual
I remember that.
It's been shortened and so
Of
many
course it
times.
has.
But it's the blood of the covenant, meaning covenant, the bonds that you make with other people. It's talking about the bonds that you're making with Jesus and his disciples. And the blood of the covenant, the promise that I have made to you is thicker than the water of the womb. When you're being birthed into the world with your relationship with your mother. It's